Hi, vickiecrystalynn. So, story time part 4. And this is how I discovered that I'm not from this world. So, I first want to answer some questions, some beautiful questions, and for all the love that we're sharing together. And so, a lot of people are recognizing this story, my story, of how I discovered in the beginning of my journey. They're recognizing that theirs is very similar to that. And I felt that when I was going to put this out, I felt like a lot of people were going to recognize this in their own story. So, and then there's the ones that don't believe it at all. And the thing is, if you don't believe it, it doesn't make it not real. Yeah, right? You know, do you believe in God? And you don't see him, but yet you do every day. And then, you know, when I talk about Jesus, you know, they're like, this can't be real. And I'm just like, you believe in Jesus and you don't see him. The thing is that now I have. And it's just because you're not prepared to evolve there. You're not and maybe you're not going to wake up in this life because you woke up in different lives. So it's all good because there has to be opposite to whatever's happening. So it's all in balance. So the thing is, I want everybody to feel with your heart. When you're just intertwining with my story, just feel with your heart, truly. So let me take a drink of water, and then I want to start discussing. And one thing I want to bring forward is that you can look at people in your life and you idolize them because you think they're just really powerful people. But the thing is, look within. You're just that powerful. You just don't believe it yet. Yet you are. So, start trusting you. Absolutely. So, I want to get into the story now. And we went from sun gazing to moon gazing. And now when I sat in my hot tub every night, and I sit there for hours sometimes, and when I started moon gazing, I had a little bit of fear because when I first started moon gazing, I started seeing spirit. And when I started seeing spirit, it was in dark form. And so I had a little bit of fear, but I still felt I was curious enough to wonder why when I'm sun gazing, it's all light and beautiful and amazing. And then when I see it coming from the moon, you know, it's like denser and darker, and this fear would come up in me. And so now I've discovered why I went through all that. So, because there has to be opposites. When there's light, there's dark. So there's the opposite of everything. So that makes the complete whole in our life. So when I started moon gazing, I started seeing like these dark figures come out of the moon. And so I would get a little bit terrified. And then, but I kept wanting to do it because I was intrigued. And so I just, even in my own words, I kept saying, Jesus is here and I'm completely protected. And so I went to work one day, and this hairdresser that I worked with, her dad had just passed. And as soon as she told me that, and it was crazy because I felt like this energy on me that morning, but I didn't know what it was. And then when I went to work and she was telling me about it, I was like, man, he's stepping forward. And I gave her this big old message, and she starts crying, and she goes, how could you ever know all this? And it just came through me. And I said, I don't know where that came from. It just poured out of me. And so, she was just grateful. She was just really grateful. So that night when I went home, I was moon gazing, and I felt him come out of the moon, and he was a dark presence, but I felt his energy. And then I realized denser energy because they're carrying more energy from this world. And so I was like, oh, And then he gave me like a big old hug. I feel him right here, right now. And so then he kept telling me, tell my daughter to go to the concert. And I was like, when you get these type of messages in the beginning, you struggle because you don't know if you're making it up. You don't know where it's coming from. And I was just, but it kept getting louder. And I was like, okay. So I texted her. I said, your dad says, go to the concert. Well, she calls me back, and her whole family was going to this concert in Bakersfield. But her dad died before the concert was going to go. So the family was talking about not going to the concert. And so I said, he keeps giving me this feeling that you will see him there. And she's like, what? He's dead. And I said, I don't know. Something will represent something of him. And she's like, okay. So she, you know, the next day when I went to work, she was just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I told the whole family. And so we're all going to go in celebration of him. So, which to me, that was just all in awe because, you know, I'm just trusting what's happening, and this is just coming up in my mind, in my heart. So, to finish that story, the whole family went to the concert, and at the end of her dad's favorite song, the whole crowd just like sat down because she was sitting above the crowd. The whole crowd sat down. And she's seen this guy in afar with white around him and looked just like her dad. She couldn't see his face because of the darkness, but she said he had the same type of body figure. So, beautiful. So he stepped forward. So then I wasn't afraid of what I was seeing from the moon. So one time I was looking at the full moons because by now I am checking into the moon cycles, what's going on with the moon, because I felt very connected to the moon, which actually this year I found out that I was born on Monday, because I was born on Monday, and that's a moon day. That's the name for, you know, that represents the moon. Mondays represent the moon. And so I was like, wow, that's why I've always been connected to the moon. And so it was a big full moon, and I was sitting in my hot tub and I'm gazing at the moon. And then all of a sudden it was like a blink of an eye, and it was like a mothership. And I was like, I sat up in my hot tub and I was like, did this just really happen? Did I just see a ship? And I was like, I could feel it. And then it brought me back to a sense of when I was young, of that same feeling that I could feel them before I seen them. And I'm talking about aliens. And so I sat in a hot tub and I was like, is this real? And then it blinked, but stayed on longer. Like I got a better picture, but then it blinked off again really fast. And then I said, are you guys of light? Because I didn't know, you know what I mean? I was in the beginning of my journey. And in my younger childhood, I kind of feared what I was experiencing with them. And so I felt this overwhelming love come up inside of me. And then like this portal opened up, it like, you know, beam me up, Scotty. It's like this light, but it was colored, came down to the crown out of the ship, and then I can see like light moving through it. And then I could feel like these three beings walking over to my hot tub. And it's not like that I seen them, but I did, but it was just their frequency, and they were all different colors. And yeah, so wait for tomorrow, because it's so beautiful what they brought forward. So as we're walking through this journey together, thank you. Thank you for watching us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And this is bringing a lot of healing to me too. Even though I've let go all of this stuff, it's like healing me. It's showing me how powerful that I've become from the beginning to now. And that's what we all are. Remember, you're powerful. You're powerful. You know, we're just covered up in layers of programs and beliefs that we think we are. And I'm just showing you how I cleared that way to realize that I'm not from this world. And most of us aren't. We just don't realize it. I send love.